AMD shares have literally skyrocketed this year. After a very weak 2024, during which their price fell by 15.5% while competitor Nvidia grew by an incredible 171%, the situation has reversed. Even before that, AMD had a very weak first few months of this year. In the spring, after the announcement of quarterly results and a worse forecast for data center revenues, AMD shares fell 10% immediately after the market closed, and that wasn't all. By mid-April, the shares had fallen another 28%. At that time, they were down 37% since January 1st, and things were not looking good at all. But then came a series of positive news. A $1 million deal with OpenAI announced in October, a large contract with Oracle to which AMD will supply 50,000 chips, and others sent the share price significantly higher. Thanks in part to these collaborations, AMD's share price has risen 105% since the beginning of the year. By comparison, the S&P 500 index rose only about 16% over the same period. It is no wonder that this company, which regularly fills the front page among investors on Bulios, is followed by nearly 1,000 people who regularly discuss its potential. Join in and become a member of the Bulios community. The key driver of AMD's growth is the huge potential of AI and data centers. At the November Analyst Day held this Wednesday, CEO Lisa Su presented an aggressive vision. The company is targeting 35% annual revenue growth over the next 3 to 5 years. AMD's data center division is expected to grow by about 60% annually in the long term, and AI revenues by 80% annually, which is truly massive expansion. AMD expects to reach $100 billion in annual data center revenue by 2030, and for the server chip market, including AI accelerators, to grow to $1 trillion. For comparison, Nvidia now estimates the entire AI market to be worth up to $3 to $4 trillion. Following this announcement, AMD's shares literally skyrocketed. On Wednesday, the shares rose 9.2%, reaching near all-time high. AMD aims to capture over 50% of the server processor market and become one of the largest companies in the AI chip market. Partnerships are an important part of the strategy. Collaboration with OpenAI and Oracle Cloud Infrastructure should bring the company tens of billions of dollars in revenue. AMD is also working with the U.S. government on supercomputer projects. It has a $1 billion contract with the U.S. Department of Energy for 2 supercomputers, Lux and Discovery, built on AMD GPUs, MI355X and MI430 series. The Lux supercomputer will have 3 times the AI performance of the best computers in the same category to date. AMD is not resting on its laurels on the hardware side either. According to Lisa Su, the latest generation of powerful GPUs for AI, the Instinct MI350 series, has become the fastest deployed product in the company's history, and there is also a new product on the way. The Helios rack platform equipped with the upcoming MI450 GPUs, ready for the third quarter of 2026. In 2026, AMD will also introduce the modern MI400 series for AI computing, along with a complete rack solution similar to its competitor from Nvidia. On the processor side, AMD is expanding its EPYC series for data centers, which are gaining an increasing share of the market. AMD has now publicly unveiled details of its financial forecast for the first time. The company expects earnings per share to rise to more than $20 by 2030. The current profitability estimate for 2025 is only $2.68 per share. The company wants to have an operating margin of over 35%, which is a very high figure for a processor company, and a gross margin of between 55% and 58%. It is essential for growth that the company is sufficiently profitable. Investors and leading Wall Street analysts see these goals as very ambitious, but not entirely unattainable. You can find the latest AMD data directly in the stock details on Bulios. Whether it's earnings per share, revenue, profit margin, or fair price, everything is in one place. But it doesn't end with AMD. With a Bulios Black membership, you can unlock this and other data for thousands of stocks. If you join via the link in the description, you will also receive an exclusive 10% discount on membership forever. Acquisitions can also have a significant impact on the company's growth. AMD has recently been buying startups for AI software, such as MK1, or for server manufacturing, such as ZT Systems. Some analysts raised their forecasts after these acquisitions, while others lowered or stabilized them slightly. Wedbush gave AMD shares an outperform rating and added an optimistic price target of $290. However, not everyone sees it the same way. Goldman Sachs, for example, maintained a neutral recommendation and a price target of $210. Although AMD is celebrating now, We must not forget Nvidia, which still leads in AI and data centers. Nvidia has about 80% of the AI GPU market and a strong CUDA software platform, which often keeps customers loyal to its solutions. AMD is competing strongly in this area, but its success will depend on whether it can beat Nvidia in key parameters. However, AMD is fully aware of the competition. In its report, the company pointed out that Nvidia's $5 billion investment in Intel could pose a risk. Potential joint Nvidia plus Intel chips could threaten AMD in the APU and console CPU segments. On the other hand, AMD is now growing faster than in the past. In 2024, it reported a 92% increase in net profit to $1.64 billion. Margins are also improving thanks to high demand. However, market capitalization estimates still favor Nvidia, which has a market value of approximately $5 trillion. That's 12 times AMD. What does this mean for investors? AMD is currently trading at around $250, which is close to this year's high on October 29th. At the same time, this represents an increase from $76 in April, giving a total gain of almost 230% over the last 6 months. If AMD actually achieves its promised earnings of $20 per share by 2030 and maintains a conservative PE of around 20, the price could reach as high as $400. With a higher valuation, it could theoretically go to $500 or higher.